Today's NDE comes to us from Paul, who says he visited the other side following a heart attack. While there, he interacted with his great aunt and met his soulmate. Let's get into it. Beyond death. I was 19 years old in 2011 and working at a fast food restaurant where I was overworked and underpaid. I earned nowhere near what fast food workers do today, but that is neither here nor there. My life was not in the best place, as I had failed my physical to enlist in the Coast Guard, which had always been my plan since I was a kid. During my physical, the doctor at MEPS had discovered a heart murmur and instantly disqualified me for military service. I had no fallback options, which is what landed me working a register and asking, "Do you want fries with that?" On the night my near-death experience began, I had been called in to cover the shift of another worker who had failed to show up. That seemed to happen a lot with this particular worker, and for some reason it was always overlooked. An hour into the shift, I had the customer from hell come in. Unsure if you have ever worked with the public, you have seen the type. He walked in screaming that his order had been missing an item and demanding that I give him something for free to make up for it. Following company protocol, I asked to see his receipt, only to be told that he was not given one. As I began to explain that this customer would have to come back the next morning when the store manager was there, he began to get even more irate. At some point, he grabbed me and attempted to yank me over the counter, and that is when I felt the massive pain in my chest. As two other workers tried to wrestle this crazed man off me, I fell back clutching my chest. I couldn't catch my breath. Whether by luck or divine intervention, this was the exact moment two police officers decided to come inside to grab a bite. One quickly subdued the man who had attacked me as the other called for an ambulance. It seemed like forever before the ambulance arrived, but they were professional and quickly loaded me onto a gurney and into the ambulance. I remember bits and pieces of the ride to the hospital. It was mostly them doing the basics, taking my vitals and attaching all these wires to my chest. I now realized the seriousness of my situation and began to cry. I was only 19 and had achieved nothing in my life. I did not want to die. I was too young to die. I still had so much I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world, get married, and have kids. Inside the hospital, the doctors and nurses flooded the room I was wheeled into. I remember this one doctor asking me all these questions, and I just wanted him to save my life and play 20 questions after. Eventually, they reached the obvious and decided I was having a heart attack. I was now taken into an operating room where the doctor told me, "You're going to sleep now," and seconds later I was out. This is when my NDE really begins. I have no idea how long I had been out when I began to feel a tugging, and then heard what sounded like a very loud, very audible popping noise. I found myself floating above the operating room table and staring straight down at my body. The surgeon was staring at a monitor, and it looked almost like he was playing a video game, only my arteries were the game board. I guess I expected to see my chest laid open, but that wasn't the case at all. I would find out later that the surgeon had floated a balloon up through my femoral artery in an attempt to open a valve that had stuck in my heart, and that is what I was watching. I felt the tunnel before I ever turned to see it. It was almost as if it appeared in the room and then called to me. I can't really explain it except to say I was pulled to the tunnel as if by magnetic force. I was drawn to it. I entered the tunnel, and without any effort from me, I began to move. Beautiful music filled the tunnel as my speed accelerated. In the distance, I saw one small light. Even though it was far away, the light was visible without me having to strain my eyes to see it, and the closer I got to it, the bigger and brighter it became. Suddenly, I was in the same room as the light, if you can call it a room. It had no doors or windows, and there is no real way to describe it other than it was a space that held the light. It had no boundaries, no beginning, and no end, no far left or far right. It was everything. It was love. An overwhelming sense of love engulfed me. This wasn't the kind of love your mother, father, or grandparents give you. This was love a million times stronger. In that moment, I knew if I never saw Earth again, I wouldn't care. In my eyes, Earth held nothing for me anymore, because nothing on earth could ever compare to how I felt in that moment, in that place. "Welcome," I heard a voice say from behind me. Turning to face the voice and seeing nobody there, I asked aloud, "Who are you? Where are you?" Then, as if by magic, she appeared. She wore a simple white robe and had a flower in her hair. Her robe was adorned with simple yet elegant-looking gold trim at the sleeve cuffs and neckline. "Are you an angel?" I asked. With this, she laughed and said to me, "No, dear, not everyone here is an angel. I am your great-aunt Gail, and I am here to welcome you and help you during your visit." "Is this heaven?" I asked. "No, dear, this is not heaven, and to avoid your next question, this is not hell either. This is where you wait when you are between realms and awaiting your return to Earth. But I don't want to go back." "Nobody ever does want to go back, but it is not your time, so you will be returning to your body soon." "So I don't even get a choice?" I asked. Before she could answer, another female appeared before me. She was dressed the same as the first, but had fiery red hair and beautiful green eyes. I felt as if I had met her somewhere before. "I know you," I said, making it more a statement than a question. She smiled, and I swear it felt as if the love in that room grew even stronger the second she did. "Yes, you know me. You and I are soulmates and have shared so many experiences, both here and in past lives on Earth. If we're soulmates, why are you here now and not on Earth?" I asked. "This time we didn't find each other, so now I wait patiently your return." Before I could begin to ask her about what she meant by past lives, the tunnel reappeared and Great-Aunt Gail told me it was my time to go back. Even though I had no desire to leave, I was once again pulled into the tunnel. I was going back to my body with more questions than answers, and the further I got from the light, the more I wanted to get back to it. I even tried turning around in the tunnel and fighting my way back past whatever force was taking me back to Earth. It was impossible. I soon found myself again above my body, only now I saw two angels in the room. One stood on either side of the surgeon, and they directed his hands, and then there was that pop again. I was back inside my body and beginning to wake up. The surgeon saw my eyes open and told me, "Just lay still. I'll be done in a few seconds." Then things went dark again. I awoke in recovery and I was sore as could be. A heavy weighted bag-looking thing rested across my femoral artery, applying direct pressure. It wasn't long before I was given a room and allowed visitors, which consisted of my parents and younger sister. I tried my best to chalk this all up as a medicine-induced dream for the first few weeks, until one day it hit me, and while visiting my mother, I asked her if she knew of anyone named Gail. After thinking about it for a few moments, she said that I did indeed have a great-aunt Gail, but she had died before I was born. This led to me telling her about what I saw and experienced on the other side. She believed me because she knew I could not have pulled that name out of thin air. For a while after that, I battled depression. There was something about being away from the light after feeling its love that just felt so wrong. I have since sought therapy, and while it has not cured my desire to return to the light, I now find it manageable because I recognize one day I will reach it again. And this time, I will fight harder to stay. Notes from Beyond Death. First, thank you to Paul for sending in his near-death experience. It is viewers such as yourself that keep this channel going. If you have ever had a near-death experience you would like to share, please send it into the email link listed in the description. All submissions should be at least 1,500 words, as that is required to make a decent length video. Until next time, stay blessed.